At the close of the 19th century, Canada was overrun with Canadians.
Canada has been really good at convincing itself and the world that the terrible things that come out of colonization somehow didn't happen here, didn't happen here, didn't happen here, didn't happen here, didn't happen here.
What's going on, buddy?
Oh, I just heard the news of that disgusting atrocity.
Oh, that's on everybody's mind, man.
And as it should be. I mean, that's pretty disturbing shit. What we're talking about is like that mass grave in Kamloops that was just found under the residential school. That's like Canada's history right there.
Right there, man. And it's not a surprise. That's the scary part. You know?
Yeah, like back when they were doing the Truth and Reconciliation Act, they actually had a little piece in there that was like exhuming and checking all the sites across Canada to see if there was any graves, basically, and then it would cost like $1 million, and they're just like, nah. So they just like cut it out. Yeah,
that's insane.
And now here we are, just finding it, and then I'm sure every single one of them has some kind of mass grave to some extent.
Yep.
But this is the way of Canada, man. It's like we said it before. It's a racist ass country.
Yeah, dude. The Hundy Thou was an anti-Canadian podcast, man. We're an anti-state we're an anarchist podcast, bro. Fuck the church, fuck the state.
There should be no country.
No.
For grown men.
No.
But it's funny, like when Canada tries to like trot out the Indigenous people whenever it's like in the public eye, like a Canada Day or something, and they're just like, okay, now's the time. We love our ancestry here. Meanwhile, we find mass graves and stuff. I
know. You see, it's pretty nuts. It's so goofy. I mean, and Goofy's putting it lightly. It's gross. It's disgusting. You see you see those pictures of like Stephen Harper, the old conservative prime minister, and Justin Trudeau when they meet with the chiefs, like the Council of Chiefs, a national one, and they put them in a headdress and they face paint. And they're all like, "Ooh, look at me! I'm playing pretend." Yeah,
that's basically it. That's just like when Trudeau like marches in the climate change and then buys a $4.6 billion oil pipeline. It's all for a show. It's not real.
They're continuously suing the government. The federal government is continuously denying like reparations, basically, for Indigenous people through the legal system. Yeah, and I mean it's but it's like, let's keep it real, bro. It's literally every facet of governance is suppressing and oppressing Indigenous people in this country.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they had like three organizations kind of came together to like even do the residential schools. You have like Canada as a country, then getting the RCMP to like scoop them all up, bring them to the residential school so the Catholics could do their dirty business, which they're really good at. They've done it for centuries.
Yeah, the church, man. And fucking the church. I think the church has basically said we feel bad about it or we're shocked, and that's all they did. That's all they said.
That's what they always do, even when they're touching little kids and stuff, and they just move the priests around different places to get.
I don't want to hear any. I don't want to hear any bad news or any people shitting on Scientologists or even Mormons because shit on them, but like nobody talks about the Catholic Church. I think they get like scot-free, but just because they're the biggest, most evil one. And so everybody's just like, oh, let them do it.
Yeah, and we talked about this, but both of our family histories, we have people deeply Catholic. Yeah, and I don't know if that might have been indoctrination too, though, on the same level.
Dude, it
like
does.
but my family, like from Mexico, it's probably the same thing, just forced on them by the Spaniards.
Yeah, my family's been they're Catholic and they they're French Catholic, but you see an indoctrination, and not all of them are. There's some that are really Catholic, but it really the church siphons off intelligentsia. It's not just it's an intellectual and spiritual and social oppression. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and
how do you mean? How so?
Well, in Canada, I mean just talking about like French Canadians. Among other groups, but the French Canadians, their whole, beef with the federal government, up until the 60s was like, they were essentially treated like second-class citizens in Quebec, right? And a lot of that was done hand in hand by the government and the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church, you need people to keep them peasants, and the church does that intellectually. Be meek, be humble.
Right.
They take their intelligent people. Anybody who was, French Canadians, and they would literally see the people who had potential. I mean, the women they didn't even think about, but just the men. This is just talking about men too.
Yeah.
This is the levels of bullshit. But like just the men, it's like, oh, anybody who has a potential to be a civic engineer or a philosopher or a poet or a doctor or any sort of scientist or even like a lawyer or a politician, they're priests.
Oh, they just put them in the church, like
they scoop them up. They do that. They do it with everybody, right? They do that because they intellectually siphon like parasites.
So they take them out of the community, so they can't actually like do their own thing or help. Yeah.
Or give any voice of logic or reason, or they're like, this isn't a good thing.
I would say that they're probably one of the most like evil organizations in history,
easily, and
they're still here, and they still got the mad power too. Yeah.
I mean, they do that to everybody, man. They did that to the Irish. Like the Catholic Church was not eating poorly when like millions of Irish people were dying by the British government. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Like the Catholic Church was fine.
I mean, I never got this about faith usually, but when I was in Mexico one time, I was watching my uncle like put on like Passion of the Christ. And I was watching it and I was like kind of laughing because it's like really over the top, like brutally violent, almost to a ridiculous degree. Do you know what I mean? It was like, so I'm like sort of laughing at the way it was done. But then I look at my uncle and he's got like tears in his eyes and shit. And I'm like, damn, you brainwashed, man. Like you're really into this. Like, damn it. But he's like, like 70, 80. So they got him young probably and kept him roped in the whole time.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Fuck the church.
Fuck the church, fuck the residential schools. It's funny when they did that truth and reconciliation thing, it almost felt like it was just a way to be like, okay, how much money can I give you to shut up? And like, we'll interview all you people and then we'll figure out a dollar amount and maybe this will end this once and for all. Do you know what I mean? But then after they do that, then you just find this mass grave and you're like, nothing was fixed, man. You didn't fix the institutions. You can't just throw money at something,
No. It's wild, man. You can't just throw, and they didn't. I mean, but what's that money? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is it like? What does that do?
I mean, yeah, exactly. I know what you're saying. It like helps maybe some people in a pinch, but overall, it doesn't help the situation.
At all, dude. Well, I mean, we're talking about. I mean, ongoing genocide is ongoing genocide. Again, that's every factor, man. That's like the fuck residential schools, but also fuck like the fact that. Indigenous people make up the majority of people in foster care. The foster care system is just a continuation of residential schools.
It is.
Indigenous people make up a small percent of the Canadian population, but a quite significant amount. I think it's something like 30% for men in prisons. Do you know what I mean? That says
right. Yeah.
Like people like the whole idea of like, say, substance abuse and alcohol, like that doesn't like, and this mythos of like, the quote unquote, the drunk Indian is such a thing that constantly gets played and like danced around. And, you're supposed to just be like, okay, like that's just what they are now. And not understand the generation and generation and generation of genocide and the result of that of trauma.
Yeah, well,
but also statistically, white people statistically are more alcoholic per capita per person than. But it just there's just
they create the illusion. We're trying to paint a picture so that we could like delegitimize them and like not consider them human. Because like even you grew up island, small town. I sort of did the same. And I remember when I was a child, like 12 years old or whatever, and you tell those jokes, because they're just like part of the lexicon really at the point, like people just exchange these jokes and then you don't know shit because you're just a 12-year-old idiot and you're just like saying them. And then like years later, you're like, man, like what the fuck was I doing? But that's the culture you grew up in. That's how
the top down.
Yeah, exactly, man. And it's twisted.
Well, and I think we should too just shut out all the joy and love and like awesomeness that Indigenous people have. All the the people that we know, the people that are fighting for the rights of people and just living in Canada. I don't know, I mean, like I don't know, like I don't want, like I think we should give a little space to like celebrate our friends and family members who have to constantly deal with this shit, because it's a shitty thing, but also like it's so hard. And that's almost like the tragedy where it's like so hard to just not paint or not talk about, to separate, I guess, the Indigenous identity with one of trauma. But like, there's a lot of love and joy still in these communities, right? There's, what I mean? Like, and you have like Tribe Called Red, for example, Zune, we just interviewed Zune.
Yeah.
Like these artists, like, it's not like, this fire, this light, and just being able to exist, right? Like, you shouldn't also have to be like a super athlete or a super artist. Like,
I
think we're kind of just talking
be
about
a citizen in the world.
And just not, exactly. And not just having your entire system out to completely fucking shit on you.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah. I mean, just even learning over the last little while, like the extent to which it's just continued almost up to this day. So we got like, after the residential schools, it just transitioned to like the 60s scoop, just like literally taking kids from their families and just like putting them up for adoption in America and Canada and Europe and stuff. Just like getting rid of them. But just kept continuing. Plus, even to this day with the no like clean drinking water on a reservation, like that one seems like it could be dealt with quickly. Like, doesn't take a lot of effort to fix that problem, like it's just like a willful attempt at not doing it.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, you have provincial and federal, systems of governance set up, like literal bureaucratic systems set up to siphon money. They're supposed to be allocating funds to help Indigenous communities, but it's just you have an entire sector who is using that money to pay for themselves and to create their jobs, and then just deny resource acquisition to Indigenous groups. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is nuts, man. Fuck Canada.
It's nuts, man. Fuck Canada, dude. Fuck Mounties, man. I hate, dude, Mounties, man. I mean, also like fuck cops, like fuck 12 all day. But
sorry,
like,
all cops are bastards.
All cops are bastards, man. I fucking hate that shit.
And I think it's like, even if the cop is nice, like to you in person, you still work for a shit organization that's fucking corrupt and only does bad things. So sorry, you're part of the problem. Guilty by association.
Part of the problem, dude. You're part of the problem, man. Like, I hate that shit. Why are they the good guys, dude? You read about you look at your history. You look at the fucking Métis rebellion, the resistance, I should say. Not the rebellion, it's the fucking resistance. It was literal, like, I keep saying literals too much, but
so cops are not Dirty Harry. Cops, they're the bad lieutenant.
They're the bad lieutenant.
Facts. That's what's up. That's
Facts.
what's up.
Cops are not
they're Harvey Keitel crying with his wiener out.
Yeah.
Fucking being a real piece of shit. That's what cops are. Yeah.
Facts. Like what are they even? Do you know what I mean?
To the strong arm of the government to keep.
What are they?
People down. Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering. I haven't done the research yet, but when were cops invented?
Like the modern day police force. The modern day police force was invented in England 200 years ago, because the industrial
workers.
Yes, exactly. The industrial revolution. What happened is that you had landowners, and they ripped apart the entire British class system, because British people were essentially indigenous on their own land in villages. And they're like, we've been here since the fucking Stonehenge, like our ancestors, I mean, like
farming, right? And just chilling,
just doing their thing. And then they're like, well, we need people to work these fucking factories, so we're gonna kick everybody out of your villages and send you into cities, Manchester, Birmingham, York,
right? Living in London. Big flats with 1 million people, just in squalor.
So so you're fucking, you grow up as a shepherd, or a making wool or tending orchards, and just living your fucking life, drinking beer, playing a hurdy-gurdy or whatever, whatever you do. And then all of a sudden, you're forced into a fucking dirty, disgusting city where your 3 children, ages 3, 4, 5, are fucking working at a doll factory with like turpentine and lead paint to get a rich kid a doll, right?
So then these people are like, yo, this is fucked up. We want more rights. And then the government or these corporations are probably just like, well, how about a police force to shut you fuckers up?
Well, they didn't want to bring the government didn't want to use the army. So they had to create because they're like, we can't just kill our workforce. So they had to create like a pseudo militarized suppression group, which is the modern day. I mean, like, because like policing and arbitration of the law and all this stuff like has been around since time immemorial, whether it's justice systems but like the police force, the modern day police force in the Western world is literally to shut down people resisting oppression and trying to, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
do you think that's when the industrial age is when the capitalism was starting to fucking skyrocket? Like the idea of modern capitalism,
modern, yeah.
Where it's like, like top people making all the money and just exploiting the lower class. And
well, it's always been like that. I mean, it's always fucking been like that. I guess
kings and peasants, yeah.
Yeah, it's always been like that.
But I feel like that was the one that was okay with kings. It was just like, yo, I'm your king and I'm just straight oppressing you. But once the kings and the whole royal family shit was gone, was there like even the idea that it's like, okay, now we're an equalized people? Or did someone else just come into that vacuum space and we're just like, fuck you, we're the people now?
Dude, yeah, the bourgeoisie, man. Mercantilism gives rise to, upward mobility, but it's not like, it's not like a peasant is like, I want to own 5,000 farms.
Well, that's what's up too, dude. Okay, so like I think the normal mentality of a just an average normal human is like, I'd love a farm for myself and then I could just like live and sustain on my own. But like psycho capitalist mentality is like, oh, I got this farm going, I should buy like 10 other farms, and then I have like fucking people working on those farms and blah. It's like this, you can't just be happy with the little thing you got. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, and and I think a key point of this is that it destroyed community, right? Like you force people into cities and then you're living in an apartment, and you might have your immediate family around you, but you don't have a community, right?
But sometimes you do though, because like immigrant communities come together because they're all in the same shit situation.
They have to, right? Yeah. And they're used to it, right? They bring that community because it's for protection and survival,
basically. Yeah. But that's because they've been basically forced into a position that they're not even really comfortable with. So they have to seek people that are like similar to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that they feel safe and whatever.
But like you have to have, those are essential for survival, even just for your mental health, right? Isolation is the mind killer, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Look at incels.
Facts.
Little basement dwellers. You don't talk to nobody. It's like they're the angriest ones. Why do you think that? Alone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We're we're fed. Like I think that modern society's junk food, but I don't know, man. Like isolation is such a big thing, and like it's so hard. Like this mental health strain of we see it with this pandemic, right? And I think it's just brought it more to light. But you see these communities come together, and you see communities of people kind of created out of isolation, like these incels, like that fucking white supremacist, the Charlottesville march, right? All these people are like, meh, and then it's easy for them, right? It's easy for you to blame other people or believe in shit because that's your anger and resentment is it feeds that kind of toxic energy. I think it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's very weird. I don't get it.
I don't get it, man.
I just wish people could chill or be happy or something, or I don't know where that begins, where people's minds become all twisted, like is it?
I don't know.
I guess it's information you take online, like
so many factors, right? Trauma.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many factors, dude. It's people are like nature versus nurture, but it's both. It's fucking both.
It's a combo for sure.
It's a combo. There's no, But I mean, again, but imagine the entire system that you're in by no choice of your own is
working against you.
Constantly trying to destroy you. That's what we're seeing, man.
Definitely. And even like just last year, was it last year? I mean, with all these different things that happen, these movements and like atrocities, it's hard to remember how long ago they were. But like those fishermen on the East Coast were just like burning and harassing the indigenous like fishermen, and the
RCMP were doing jack shit.
Yeah, they're just standing there watching.
But if you have a protest against, again, God forbid you have a protest.
They come in with the batons and they're smacking your ass,
the destruction of private property, right? The destruction of, it's.
Do you think the cops have like a picture of a generic white person, and then when they show up to a scene, they just kind of like hold it up and be like, are they white? If they are, I won't hurt them. But if they aren't, then I will.
I think if you're white, you have to be anti-government, right? And that's when you're dangerous, right? Or you're perceived as anti-order, and order and justice are not the same thing, right? The law and justice are not the same thing. So if you're anti, people are like that's why people are shocked why cops infiltrate, environmental groups or social justice groups or anti-racist groups, because it's not that they're not infiltrating like a group that they think is right or orderly. They think because they're more in their mind, they're more terrified of a group that
wants change,
that is anti-establishment, as opposed to a group that is unjust, right? Like a white supremacist group, or
right? Like the KKK could exist, but if like at the G8 summit or something like that, and there's a group of activists who are like trying to like rally to like do direct action, then they're all infiltrating that shit, busting it up. But with the KKK, they're like, you're not hurting anybody that we care about, like,
or you're just an extreme version of our viewpoint,
Yeah. I mean, lots of cops are fucking Ku Klux Klan members or Nazis or some shit.
Exactly. I mean, it's like these freedom rally people. They're like freedom rally, and you have a couple cops standing there like, these guys are idiots, or maybe they agree with it, but like they don't do anything. And that's when those freedom rallies are bullshit, because if they actually were trying to affect change, cops would be down there in a second shutting that shit down.
Yeah, they're just whiny people, whining publicly. That's what those things are.
Crazy. Man.
Yeah.
It's hard to find laughter. My brain keeps trying to
find jokes
points, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like nothing to joke about, but I mean,
this is a decompression episode, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to be a little serious,
it's fine, guys.
Yeah.
I hope everybody's okay, man. I feel bad for my I'm like a million times white passing. Like I'm a little bit indigenous, more like Métis. I have family members who are like actually indigenous.
Dude, you got to rock that 2%, dude. Rock that 2%, like proudly right on the top.
I'm just going to show up with my fucking Métis sash, which I have one at my parents' house, and just fucking with a feather in my hair and just make millions of dollars.
When any white person tries to come to you, you're like, actually, I'm 2% Métis.
Yeah.
I always like pretend. I always want to start
the one drop.
Yeah, we always talk about the one drop. We always talk about how I'm like half Mexican or whatever, but what I don't talk about, and I should more often, is that it's like indigenous Mexican. Like these are like the indigenous people of the area of Mexico, not just some fucking Spaniard breed motherfuckers.
Yeah, if any of you motherfuckers watch Roma, that's
my fucking
those people.
My grandma was the maid. Yeah,
exactly.
That's what's up. So
facts.
So I gotta rock that more. I gotta be more like more flared up on the internet, and then when someone comes for me, I'll be like, fuck you trying to use that shit against them. You trying to silence my brown voice?
Yeah, become a proud Aztec warrior you were meant to be.
That's what's up.
Fuck yeah, buddy.
I should use that to get us grants.
You should, dude.
What am I doing here?
What are you doing here? Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna become a fucking bestseller author about
Métis author. Yeah,
the Métis dude. Yeah, dude.
That happened a lot, man. Okay,
hell yeah, dude.
There's been a few busts of that recently. Like there's a show which I cannot remember the name right now on CBC. Yeah, and then
which is good.
I'm sure it's good. I never watched it, and I'm sure like this woman even meant well, but she like claimed to be indigenous, and then it came out that she was like the tiniest percentage, but she used that to get that show made.
Yeah,
that's actually an interesting one because it's
she forward. Oh no, keep talking. Sorry,
my last point is just like it's interesting because she used that to get a project pushed through that is actually beneficial.
Yeah, exactly.
But she did it in a way that was like a lie.
I know it was. It was a bit of a hustle, but like there's a lot of indigenous people on that. And actors, and it's telling cool stories. So
that's why it's a tricky one, trickstery one.
I know. I read this. My friend Tori. Shout out to Tori. I hope you're listening. Tori, please listen. No. She let me.
She's the only one listening.
She let me a book about Louis Riel and Gabriel Dumont, who's my guy. I love Gabriel Dumont. Like if people don't know Gabriel Dumont, he is the kind of like. He was like the badass guy about the Métis Rebellion. He was literally like the leader of the buffalo hunt. Like he was a sharpshooter, like picture like the most badass like Métis cowboy dude you can think of, and that's him.
Sorry to cut you off, but like what is the Métis? Just for anyone that doesn't know, because aren't they a combo of like white and local?
Technically,
indigenous?
Technically, I think Métis. I mean, it's like in Mexico. It's similar to like Mexico, like mestizo to a degree, right? It's like mixed, right? It comes. That's where the root comes from. But the Métis people were a group in present day Manitoba and then later Saskatchewan who were descendants of people who were French or English or Scottish and usually Cree, I think. And then they had their own kind of organic communities of people with their own culture and practices and territory. And
but did they like mix with the indigenous people in the area too, or are they just only Europeans? Okay.
Yeah. And so they were a mix, right? Métis is the French version of mestizo in Spanish, right? Which is like mixed people.
But this is the thing too that also should be recognized, is that it is possible to coexist in peace, in love, and unity. But when the strong arm of like an official like parliamentary force or something like that wants to come in, that's when it starts getting twisted. You know what I'm saying? Like that's they force the racism from top down, whereas people can just get along if that isn't being pushed on them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, yeah, exactly. And in the Métis rebellion, you had a government, you had a Métis government with their own laws and practices, and relationships with the people of that land, and basically butting heads with a bunch of Orangemen, they're called, like basically white Anglo-Saxon settlers who were basically pushed in and encouraged to come in by the first Canadian Prime Minister, suck a dick, John A. Macdonald, rotten hell. And they basically created conflict. They started surveying the land and cutting up land for more settlers. And the Métis were like, "What are you doing? This is our land." And the Cree were like, "This is our land. Like, what are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
And they ended up basically kind of permitting them for a bit. These people from Ontario, basically these people, man, fuck Ontario. First off, people from Ontario came in, and they started causing shit and like trying to ferment rebellion. They're like, "This is bullshit." Like, basically picture like a QAnon right-wing guy. There's a guy, Thomas Scott. There's this one dude, Thomas Scott, who I actually think was an Irish guy, an Irish Protestant guy from Northern Ireland, and he was causing a bunch of shit and trying to be like, "No, we gotta take for the," and they were causing
like starting dissent within the
starting
ranks,
dissent
basically.
and like abusing and going in and just acting like it was their land and abusing indigenous, Métis and Indigenous people.
Yeah.
And Louis Riel literally just put him in jail, and then he tried to escape and tried to, he tried to start like an armed resistance. And so Louis Riel straight up by his own hand, and this is kind of what, almost to a fault, by his own hand he executed him. But they put him through. Yep.
But that put him over the edge, and that kind of started the downfall in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so that was an excuse for John A. Macdonald to kind of come in with what would become the Mounties.
But I almost think that's provocation. Do you know what I mean? Like John, he sent them in to push him to that point, and then once he's crossed that point, it's kind of like the same thing with Chris Dorner. Yep. Like it's like that guy. For those that don't know, I think it was 2011 or something like that. He was a police officer in LA, and he just saw so much injustice by the cops around him, and then he tried to bring it to like the head of the department, and they just told him to shut up, and then they gave him a desk job. This guy goes a little bit nuts. He flies off the handle, and he's like takes the law into his own hands, and then starts just like shooting family members of the police that were the ones who kind of took him off and like fucked him over in the department. And then there was like a huge chase, and he got like basically murdered in a cabin in the woods by a drone. So, but like this is a man who saw a lot of things, tried to raise the alarm, and was just silenced and pushed aside. And then so he just took it into his own hands. Not saying he's a hero, but saying that there's some legitimate, like some legitimacy there. But I guess that point is basically he was pushed too far, which is the same thing with Louis Riel. Yeah, it's like these people are just pushed to these points of violence, and it's by the system, not by like people around them. Like exactly. regular citizens.
Yeah, man. And there was a resistance. Like they sent in these what would become the Mounties, there was Gabriel Dumont, and then Big Bear, a pound maker from the Cree, basically got together and were like, nope. And just fucking, they thought they could come in and be like, "Oh, let's kill these savages," and they got their fucking asses handed to them.
Yeah,
handed to them.
Good
fuckers.
Yeah.
And then so Gabriel Dumont spent the rest, like after the Métis rebellion was put down, quote unquote, and Louis Riel was tried and hung later on. Dumont spent his time in the States on the whole Wild West, Bill Hickok, Buffalo Bill show, traveling show, as like a sharpshooter, so they're like, check out the crazy half-breed Gabriel Dumont, and he would run around, jump on a horse and be shooting targets. But he actually, the government of Canada tried to, they sent assassins after him,
like after the fact, like way later,
because he was like a fugitive. Yeah, so they'd send. There was an incident of a guy coming, like trying to kill him in his tent, and Dumont. They should make movies, man. This is the shit. They got.
This is Canadian history. you know,
it's wild. It's not boring. Canadian history is not boring, dude. This
I know.
shit would be a crazy Western, man.
I feel like the school system, of course, like many of the institutions in Canada, is fucking trash, dude. Like, it's like, why aren't we learning about that stuff? Well, because of racism. That's basically it. They don't want us to know that.
Racism. They don't want us to know.
They want us to know that John A. MacDonald like united Canada or whatever the fuck he did. You know, like it's like, which is not the truth.
Yeah, but there's no. So fuck that. I always think of Gabriel Dumont as whenever there's like Canada Day. I always try. I posted on Instagram. There's like a picture of him posing, and he has this like badass buffalo like hide like tassel jacket and like a hat and like his gun. And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, what would And he did, but he doesn't look very happy. And I was just like, what would Gabriel Dumont think? What would that guy think?
Stoic ass. Yeah. We should go back in time, bring him to present time. We need someone on the front.
We need a shooter, dude. We need a shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, it's I had a friend lend me a book about Gabriel Dumont and Louis Riel.
Was that the comic? Because there's
that comic is great. There's a Louis Riel comic. I forget the fucking author.
It's Chester Brown. So for anyone out there, who like is interested in this story but doesn't want to like read some novel or whatever about it, just go find this book. It's by Drawn and Quarterly. I think it's just called Louis Riel by Chester Brown. Yeah, and it basically is just like sort of a depiction of what actually happened. Everything Mark just explained.
Yeah. But this book that was lent to me, this guy, and it was actually it was well written, but the guy was a pretendian, a total pretendian.
Oh, really? He got outed?
He got outed.
But did he? What is it like 2% or what or no percent?
I think like no, dude. Like, how do you quantify that? Right? Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be a controversial opinion, but the Rachel Dolezals of the world, are they bad?
Yeah.
Like, think about this. Okay, this is my argument. Okay? It's like they're in the community because they really want to be there, and they're doing the work so hard because they're just so pumped about it. So are they actually doing anything negative? They just aren't the person. That's all. You know?
Oh man, dude.
At least it's positive change. That's what I'm saying. It's a positive input, you know? Yeah,
but I think they're just stealing an identity and playing like it's almost in a weird fucked up way. It just how they do it, the context of them doing it just poisons it. You know what I mean? It's just like gross.
Like it's like fetishized. Almost.
Yeah, like Rachel Dolezal, and like reading up on Rachel Dolezal and her pretend to be black, like she would straight up, because she was really into politics and all that shit in college, and she would play the race card and like call people out, do all this shit for like years, right? Because she was like a battle axe of her political community. So,
but in positive ways or negative ways?
Both, man. That's the thing, right? And just the fact that you're like, this is the fucking bitch that's been calling everybody out and being like, as a black woman, or like, you gotta do better. And it's just like, you're fucking Dutch. Like, what's I mean, like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, get her out of here.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, and same with the pretend. And the whole thing with these pretendians is that
that's a kind of a weird term, buddy.
It's a term, bro.
I didn't even use it, man.
Why?
Because you have Indian in there somehow. Like, what the fuck is that,
dude? It's used though. It gets used.
I
didn't create it. Indigenous people say it.
Okay.
Because it's almost like a pretendian, because like like they're pretending to be Indian.
I get the idea of it, but as a half Aztec person, you know, like
that's true. I should listen to you. I should listen.
Don't talk over me, bro.
Yeah, sorry, dude. As a fucking 1/12.
Oh, you're my Indian brother.
Yeah, I'm your Gabriel Dumont friend.
Also, one quick thing on the Indian thing is like, it's funny that America continued to use it, and North Americans in general, even after they realized what the mistake was.
Yeah,
they're like, these people aren't from India, but we're still going to use the term. That's how stupid we are.
Dude, facts, dude. Alliteration won out over social justice. They're like, American Indian just sounds nicer.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue.
It's like still ignorant and wrong, but we're still going to use it. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy, man. But yeah, I don't know. The guys here, like, this happens all the time. And like, we know, like the colonial settler indigenous relationship and history is way less cut and dry than people like to think.
Mm-hmm.
Like the interactions, but that has nothing to like there is a direct there's a direct cause and effect for people who are actually indigenous and have gone through, right? And I don't want to say like that's like, and in a fucked up way, I think I don't know if this is right or not, and like I would love people to like call me out or
comment somewhere.
But like that's almost like the way I perceive it, and this is why I'm like in my head I'm like, well, for all intents and purposes, I'm white, like I am white, like, but it's almost like the litmus test, which is fucked up. Do you know what I mean? Which is fucked up for being indigenous, like you know, like the litmus test of identity is tied into the almost how you're perceived in Canada, and how
you mean visually, like your appearance, or what do you mean?
No, like what you've been through,
right?
Because it's you can't untie that, right? You can't claim indigenous identity, I don't think, and then not not be separate from genocide, which is a fucked up thing to say. But do you know what I mean? But that's also the truth.
Like, wait, explain what that thought means.
Like, so you can't just claim to be an indigenous person, and then just not like basically every single indigenous person in Canada is a victim of fucking ongoing cultural and actual genocide.
Yeah. So are you saying these people who are claiming to be but aren't really shouldn't do that because of that?
Yes, that's why I think makes it so vulgar and so fucked up.
Oh, right.
I mean? That's the thing, because it's like, I think that's why people have beef with the trickster person, to a degree, because it's easy to play Indian when it gets you things, right? And it's nice, and because everybody wants you, right? You have these whole communities, you have these whole communities in Europe. I guess
I've seen this,
yeah, and they cosplay being Indian,
like American,
and they got like dream catchers and things, and these are all like sacred items, and you know, they have different meanings, and they mix and match, and they go off in the woods and pretend it's like Peter Pan. They saw Peter Pan as a little kid, the Disney version of Peter Pan,
right? And
we're like, this is what I want to be. I want to be one of those little, you know, native kids.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, like that's
like that's a whole nother conversation too, like the whole like degrees of passing and stuff like that. And then it's the same thing in all people of colors, like demographics, where it's like if you're more on the spectrum of white passing, do you really have the same experience? You know what I mean? Or it's
facts.
Like, but I know that's like minimizing a person, but on the same scale, it's like the ones who are more outward appearing get more shit on, basically, you know, like,
dude, appearance is privilege, man. White passing privilege, bro.
Yeah.
White passing privilege. Easy. That's the easiest indicator of an unjust society, right? Is a racism card. It's just a look, like just looking like something that needs to be oppressed. You know what I mean?
That needs to be, exactly. Like a cop is driving white, brown, and then pulls over. Yeah.
Dude, it's fucked, man. Like that's the thing. Like, and but it like we go back to the cops, and it's just like, of course, people that look like me are going to be like, cops are nice to me.
Yeah.
to
exactly.
This. Like, that's what cops are nice to. You know what I mean? Like, not fucking. And even then, you have to be like, if you're a rich person or you're a poor person, that's different, right? Or if you're political or not political, right? Yeah. But like, still, like with your white skin is like, even
your
if I
jewelry.
was like, fuck the government,
like
cop is good. Yes,
Heems Das racists would say, white skin is your jewelry.
Exactly. I could be like, I hate cops, fuck cops, and a cop is going to be like, meh, okay.
That happens all the time. You see tons of videos of like a white person in a car being pulled over, screaming at a cop.
Yeah,
like just degrading them and all this kind of shit. And then you just see, you know, the horrible videos we have to see all the time of like a black person reaching for their license and registration in their glove box and then getting shot or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's why we gotta do more, man. We gotta punch cops. Well, that's good white allyship. Fucking punching cops.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever you have a chance,
yell at cops. Just yell at cops. Tell them that we don't like them. Just tell them that. You know,
nobody likes them.
Insult them. But yeah, like I'm not gonna get beat up or like sent off into the, you know, like those Starlight tours, which is I don't know if you know about the whole Starlight tour fucking thing.
What is that?
So in Saskatchewan, is it Saskatoon or Regina? It's one of those places, those cities, but probably both. But the Starlight tours, quote unquote, were a thing where cops would pick up an they wouldn't even necessarily arrest them half the time. They would pick up an Indigenous person and drop them off drive them out of the city,
yeah,
drive them out, and then drop them off.
Yeah, like the Tragically Hip actually had a song about that, or Gord Downey himself did like an album about like one person's story like that. But yeah, like in the winter they would pick them up, drive them out to the
winter.
Yes,
context. Yes, the winter in Canada minus 30 degrees,
and then just be like try to get home and just basically killing them. You know, like,
and that's
the thing too. It's like okay, like, and this is how all like this is how militaries work specifically, and this is how any kind of like hate going downhill works, where you basically make the person you hate inhuman, you know, and that's what Canada has done with the Indigenous people of this country. They're like, you are not human, so we could treat you this way.
Exactly. And I mean, and that's like, and that's the thing, man, and that's why I think like the people, you know, when you take or when you culturally, because you know people are, oh, what is cultural appropriation? But like we need to understand that like us as Westerners, we have a very detached notion of ownership, and we have and we have a detached notion of sacredness. But like when you have things like headdresses or articles of clothing, when First Nation groups are like, these are literally like, these are super significant and sacred to us. Like,
like not even everyone in our community wears these things. So it's like you can't just be at a festival wearing that dress. Like, what are you fucking doing? Yeah,
and just the context, like that's the thing. Like people like to think that when it's only just like weird, like it's like your annoying bisexual college brother, you know, or brothers in college that is like, yeah, it's culturally appropriative. But it's just like, well, you know what? When it's, you actually have to listen to it, like it's not, those aren't just the people, like, you know what I mean? Like when people are like, hey, like, yeah, like maybe dream catchers are selling the dream catcher that was made in China is fucked up, and it's an Indigenous person saying that, you should fucking listen to that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's not just like
don't listen to the white person being like, stop that. Listen to the people of the community.
Or just be like, understand the context. Exactly. It's like that the white person saying that is parroting. They're saying that hopefully because they've listened to an Indigenous person.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I kind of think that white guilt people who try to police others is a little annoying, to be honest.
It is annoying, but then you got to look at the source.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like,
ignore them, but just look at the source.
Man?
Exactly.
Yeah. You have to listen to the message, but it's like, who are you to tell me?
Yeah.
Like
Rachel Dolezal. Then we go back to Rachel Dolezal.
Exactly.
She was essentially that person. But she hid under blackface to be able to. That's why she's bad.
Be able to tell it,
because she was policing, but then she literally just put blackface on, so she could do it.
That's twisted. You're right.
That's twisted.
I take my shit back.
That's some twisted iced tea. Twisted iced tea. I know. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, we learned a lesson here today.
We did, bro. We definitely did. Don't fucking. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish, like, in a perfect world, it'd be great if we could just, you know, do what we wanted and have no context or connection to anything. But like, that's not how the world actually is.
I also want to say though, for just to say that, like, it's like, if you're racist in Canada and you have like these minor things, like I was saying earlier, where when we were growing up and we were younger, you just hear jokes in the ether and then you just they get incorporated in your vocabulary. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that all white people are quote unquote racist. There's degrees of racism, but like when you grow up in a country where the messaging is racist, like the messaging to you is racist, then you're just absorbing information that you've been given, and then that's your outlook. And unfortunately, the messaging is racist in Canada, even subtly, you know?
Yeah, you operate that
blatant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you operate that framework. And everything has context. We can't just take things out of context. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything is connected, man. And like what when we were going heavy in earlier this episode, what the shit is the context of a lot of the shit is fucking genocide and like active genocide and heavy, you know?
Dude, I know. Imagine just someone came to your country and just started eliminating you so that they can move themselves in, like Israel to Palestine.
Yeah, you know? free Palestine.
It's still happening right now. Yeah. Free Palestine. We support Palestine. But it's like, I guess that's a prime example, to be honest. That's like current colonialism pushing people out, taking their land and murdering them and basically eradicating them, almost trying to eradicate them as a fucking people, you know?
Yeah. And then claiming terrorism, you know, forcing people to do terrorist acts out of desperation and then claiming what you're doing is justified because of those acts.
Exactly. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, the people supporting them, Canada.
Yep.
United States.
Yep.
Europe.
Yep.
Western white society.
Like evangelical Christians love Israel.
Really?
Evangelical Christians love the state of Israel, which is insane.
Why?
Because most of them are anti-Semites. Because in their minds, it's like the idea of the state of Israel, because it's from the Bible, is like closer to the rapture. It's like it's weird, dude. It's fucked, man.
I know.
It's
their
it's
deep,
so
complicated bullshit is so weird. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not religious.
Dude, religion is a fucking. I want to go back just to polytheism. I was talking to a buddy about that, and like just before one God, before there was just like Christianity sucks.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Christianity sucks, but if you just had a God, you're like, this is the God of mourning boners.
Yeah.
This is the God. You know what I mean? And
I'd rather like a gang of gods welcome me every day. Like it's like you are the God of water and sky.
And if you really felt it, and you're like, man, this is my God, and you had your little token, and you went and prayed to the altar. You know, and that was sacred to you, and you're like, fuck yeah, brother, like good for you, bud.
Maybe that wouldn't be enslavement though. I feel like the one God system is based off in like a hierarchical enslavement. So it's like you like a king basically. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like God is the king and you're all subjects. Whereas like with the polytheism ones, it's like here's a gang of chill dudes you can hang out with. You know what I'm saying? Or girls, not just dudes, but like
various spirits. Yeah,
it's like here's a bunch of equals that will help you out. And you can check in on them wherever you go. If you're at the water, it's the water god. If you're, you know what I'm saying? If you're in the woods, it's the wood god. But it's like, you're not just like looking up at the one god. Like you're the only one and I serve you only.
Well,
it's like,
and it's the whole, like, bring the whole idea of hell and like damnation into it. Like if you don't worship this god,
yeah, exactly.
You are fucking wrong. That's the difference.
That's
You're
why I
fucking wrong.
Yeah, that's why I love the Lil Nas X video where he's just like playing with that shit, that idea. Yeah. Same with like Satanism in general. It's like more like hilarious than anything. You're just like you're playing with this funny idea that these fucking weird Christians created, and now you're just fucking with it a little bit. I
know people are scared of the devil. Ooh, the devil.
Yeah.
Like that's a scary thing. What about what about like all the evil things the Catholic Church has done? I'm more scared
about regular humans, man. Regular humans will do some crazy shit to you.
They're the scary ones, bro.
Yeah. Like it's weird the logic leap some humans have where they're like, I have power over you and I'll just do whatever I can to you. And I feel no remorse. Like people get there mentally. Like there've been studies about that and stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. Or you just paint, you paint another groups, you dehumanize them so much where they're, like it doesn't matter if they live or die.
Yeah, like Guantanamo. It happens all the time. It's happening right now, like
dude. Yeah, man.
On Earth,
there's kids in cages in ICE, in fucking ICE facilities right now.
Just treated inhuman.
What are you doing, Biden? Remember people were like, oh, Trump can't win. Biden has to win. And you're like, there's still fucking kids in cages.
Yeah.
There's still people getting shot by the cops. You know what I mean? Like,
I think they just didn't like how vocal Trump was. Like now all the atrocities have gone dormant and silent. Whereas with like Trump, he was just like saying them out loud all the time.
It's good cop. It's good cop, bad cop, man. Democrats are the good cops. Republicans are the bad cops. They're still cops. All cops are bad cops. That's the trick.
Totally. It's like Trump is in the interrogation room with the door open, punching the guy. And then Biden's the one who just closes the door and punches the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. And gives him a Coke before he punches him, or gives him a Coke afterwards.
It's like, sorry about that. You did this to yourself. Like.
I know. It's
fucking... Anyway,
dude. Well, we had some laughs. We made fun of our own indigenous identities.
Yeah.
I just can't wait till we're millionaires about this, though. I gotta milk this somehow.
The indigenous part,
dude. I gotta need to, I'm always dreaming up scandals. I gotta milk this, man.
You should start be more prominent about it and just keep saying it all the time.
My experience. I gotta write a memoir, dude.
There you go. Now, shout out and condolences to all the people who were affected or connected to what was revealed. Like that grave.
Yeah,
and
man.
I hope they do search all of them now. I hope this is enough to instigate a search on all of them, and then try to figure this out. I don't know.
I hope so, dude. I hope they just burn it all down.
Burn it all down. Yeah.
Burn it all down. Just burn it all down, man. Just start again. Burn the shit down.
Yeah, this country, fuck it. We're not doing many good things here, It's just press reset,
I mean, I want real justice, like real, you always want that. And I think I'm not saying don't fight for it, like boo, boo, but it's like that's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, fuck this, man. Fuck the church.
Yeah,
fuck
the state. Fuck the church. Fuck the state.
Yeah,
and that's the Hundy Thou ideology.
It's the Hundy Thou ideology, man. I wish we had more laughs on this episode, but you know what? This is the thing that's been going on.
Yeah, got to talk about it, and we'll laugh next time.
We'll laugh next time, bro. We'll make some jokes. Yeah, and if anybody wants to give us some feedback on this episode, I greatly. It's open, man. I'm not gonna,
go to our Instagram is the best way or email us at hundythou@gmail.com, or just go to our Instagram because that's the main way we could communicate with strangers or our own friends. Just DM us in the Instagram Hundy Thou Podcast, and we'll maybe talk about it next time. I don't know, but definitely like to have more voices on this one.
Yeah, dude, and just like this is open, man. We're just talking, and like we're always like that's the thing. Like we're gonna talk, and like I know we've been talking about some heavy shit, and we're totally open just to fucking dialogue about it. And like maybe we'll put a trigger warning on this or a warning, but like we're open, man. Like just let us know. Like we I don't want to like I would never assume that what I'm saying is in like you can't it can't be dissected at all.
Yeah, definitely.
We're not infallible. Like we're just talking, man. Like if
open to suggestion, open to information, knowledge,
links, the things like if you guys want, like critiques, man. This is what I think we're about, man. We'll talk shit. We'll have half-assed research stuff. We'll speak our mind, but like at the same time, we're not. We
don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, please just fucking humble us.
Our uninformed opinions. So let us know
coming from the gut.
Yeah. Okay, man. Gonna peace out on this then.
Yeah, dude. Fucking hell yeah.
Hey.